Hey guys, welcome back. This is your host Phil from underKG.com, and today we're going to take a look on another affordable phone from Xiaomi. It's called the Redmi Note 7. Alright, so this is how it looks. It's got the notch display on top, but not like a traditional regular notch, but with the water drop smaller notch that only encapsulates the front-facing camera, so much smaller. Although there is a little chin on the bottom, it's not totally bezel-less, but you can't really expect that on a $150 phone. On the back, we got another piece of glass. This is Gorilla Glass 5, same with the front. There is dual camera. This is a 48 megapixels camera, more of that later. And by no means this is an ugly phone, but this isn't that original either. But I can probably deal with it because most of the phones these days look alike anyway. Keep in mind that this doesn't come with any sort of weather protection, at least officially, but you do get a little notification LED right here on the bottom that glows when you have a notification or when you're charging your phone. Now, about the camera department that I mentioned earlier, one on top is 48 megapixels of sensor. That's very big, and it's pretty fast at f1.8, along with the big 1/2 inches of a sensor. One on the bottom is f2.4, 5 megapixels of depth sensor that's used for the portrait mode or the bokeh effect, and under that is LED flash, and of course there is a fingerprint reader on the back. Now, the camera app is pretty generic. There is a shutter key, there's an AI button that automatically recognizes scenes and applies the right effect for it, and there's the HDR mode. And while I understand that there's a temptation to put it auto, you probably just should leave it on for most of the times, because applying the HDR effect almost always makes the photos better, because the dynamic range is pretty bad with this phone. Under daylight, it captures enough details, but not so much in the darkness. That's where the problem with the dynamic range comes in. The darker spots get really dark that is almost indistinguishable from the nearby objects. There is the night mode. I didn't see that much of a dramatic effect. Just enabling the HDR mode usually worked better. And if you want to take a photo in that full 48 megapixels of resolution, you have to slide all the way back into Pro mode and then enable the option 48 megapixels, and only then can you capture with that full capacity of the sensor. It almost feels like they intentionally built it this way so you don't get to use it that often. Now, I did complain my fair bit, but as you can see in the sample photos, the photos are fine. The details are good, it's not that shaky even in low light conditions, it's got very high resolution, and the scene optimizer works relatively well. And most importantly, you can't expect any better in this price range. This is probably the best photo quality that you can get with the $150 range. And the same goes with the portrait mode. The depth effect works really well, and the same goes with the front-facing camera. There is the AI scene optimizer, there is a software-backed portrait mode, and the details are good, resolution is high. I just love taking selfie with this phone. And since we talked about the camera, let's go ahead and finish it with the audio. It's got the mono speaker on the bottom, and it's quite loud and tight in bass. I actually like this one. There's now almost extinct headphone jack on top, and it delivers clear output. I like that one as well. And right next to that is surprisingly infrared port, so you can use it as a universal remote control. And as always, there are a number of sound effects. There are different headphones from Xiaomi that you can choose from, the presets, and there's an equalizer that you can customize, but I really didn't like any of them. They kind of manipulate the sound way too much, but I'm not an audiophile, so maybe some of you are gonna find things differently. Now, the next part is display, and unfortunately, it's not my favorite part. It's got pretty high resolution, it's Full HD+, it's got the tall screen ratio and gesture control, but firstly, they saved on the glass coating, so there is no oleophobic coating or anything alike. So that means it's quite glossy. When the screen is off, you can see that the reflections are quite heavy compared to the more expensive phones. And while it does come with the color options like default, warm, cool, or any spot on the screen, and for the contrast you got automatic, increased, and standard, it's very tough to say that this is color accurate. It ranges for 84% of NTSC standard, the screen isn't that bright, and screen uniformity, especially around the edges and around that notch, isn't all that good. Next up is a performance, and it's got Snapdragon 660 chipset built inside, which is almost impossible at this price range. Benchmark scores prove that. It's got CPU performance nearing Snapdragon 835 and GPU performance around that of Snapdragon 821. But unfortunately, this version of MIUI performance isn't all that good. Launching some of the apps take longer than it should, and switching between some of the apps take longer than they should. And undeniably longer than the predecessors or the older versions of the MIUI. For the most basic task, it's okay. But when you get a phone with the Snapdragon 660, you're expecting a little bit more than those little tasks. Don't get me wrong though, I do like the new changes like the new status bar with the new brightness control and the new multitasking panel with the smaller and bigger windows just like that of BlackBerry and wide variety of that new natural ringtones and notification tones. And next up is the battery life. It's got 4,000 milliamps of cell built in, and just like any other recent Xiaomi devices, this has amazing battery life. It gave me around 9 hours, amazing 9 hours of screen on time, and consider this, I'm always on the LTE network, never on Wi-Fi, and I surf the web for most of the time, which drains battery pretty quickly. So if you're not like me, which would be almost all of you, occasional Wi-Fi users at your office or home, then you should be getting an hour or two, even more than I got. So that should round up to around 2 full days of usage. And when you finally empty that battery out, you can quickly charge that through the USB-C port. And it supports Quick Charge 4, although the bundle charging brick only outputs up to 10 watts, so make sure to get one of the quick charge charging bricks. With one of those, you can get 42% for 30 minutes, 77% for an hour, 95% for an hour and a half, and fully charging the phone takes an hour and 50 minutes. Alright, so that's all the details about the Redmi Note 7. This, simply put, is an amazing phone. The only reason stopping me from suggesting this for any consequence would be the optimization. The MIUI 10 isn't the best iteration, but I'm pretty sure that Xiaomi has room for improvement. They got great software team. They've been doing quite well, especially the very last one, MIUI 9.6. So when that is settled, when the optimization is back to normal like it used to be, this should be the simple and solid answer for anyone looking for sub $200 phone. This isn't simply the best one. This is the only phone with this kind of spec, this kind of build quality, this kind of camera, and this insane battery life on the market, at least now. So that was the Xiaomi Redmi Note 7. If you have any questions, please do leave them down in the comments. You can always meet us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We'll see you guys later. Ciao.